This is episode 55 of the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. Today we talk about holiday sadness, 2020, the pandemic edition. We're talking about what a difference a year makes and how could we have really known this was going to be the year of a pandemic at the holiday time. People are asking a lot of questions about should we stay home, should we visit with others, and we're really all having to deal with sadness and loneliness. In this podcast, we'll talk about how sadness is affecting this holiday, what are some ways to manage sadness and loneliness, and come away with some doables to help you experience peace over the holiday. Let's get started. Hi, this is Kim McLaughlin. Welcome to the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. I am a motivational speaker, blogger, and podcaster. I help people when they're feeling overwhelmed, overloaded, and frustrated, and it shows up in overeating. This is really the time of year where lots of overeating showing up, but we're going to go in a little different direction today because we're going to talk about holiday sadness. I actually called this podcast Holiday Sadness 2020, the pandemic edition, because it's really different this year. I actually have been thinking about what a difference a year makes. I was listening back to my holiday podcast from 2019, where I talked about the holidays and holiday stress and how to manage it. And I was listening to the podcast and I thought the information was really solid and good things. And I actually left a link in the show notes for you to listen to that podcast if you're interested. But I was also thinking about how what I talked about last year about holidays and holiday stress really does not capture what's going on right now. And this holiday is super complicated by the coronavirus. So I wanted to go over some things that I'm seeing in my clients, I'm noticing myself and my friends that I think will help you move through this holiday in a way that feels successful for you. As I thought about the holiday stress, I thought about all the things that are leading people to feel stressed or sad. Some of the things I came up with are you might be worrying about should you stay home or not. You might wonder if there's a safe way to visit others. You're really tired of the coronavirus and just want it to be over. Also, you might be experiencing some financial stress. I know there's a lot of people that are unemployed or underemployed and are feeling really stressed out about finances, as well as for some people coming up in a month, their 6 month of unemployment is ending and they're really worried about how they're going to pay the bills in the future. So that's a huge stress and leading to a lot of sadness right now. Another reason for some holiday stress or sadness this year is not necessarily being able to see your family or not seeing them for a long time. I know there are some people that are making trips to see their families, and other people I've talked to are feeling that they need to continue quarantining and not see people like their family and friends. And they feel kind of sad because they've missed the people that they love and care about and would normally see over this holiday time. There's also sadness due to the ongoing struggle just with the coronavirus in our country. It is on the news every night about people dying, how many are sick, all the numbers and all the statistics and stories of nurses and doctors being really tired. And it's kind of feeling sad to listen to it over and over again. I don't know about for you, but it certainly feels sad to me. Also, I know that there are people listening who have loved ones who are sick, friends who are sick, or have known people who lost their lives due to the coronavirus, and they're feeling really sad about that over the holiday time period. There's also a lot of you staying home and sitting more often. I know that's been, for me, really challenging, as I talk about often in my podcast. I'm an extrovert. I love being out. I love being with people, and staying home has been really hard, but also I've been noticing the sitting in front of the computer, doing my work in front of the computer has really been hard on my body. And that has led me to feel sad and stressed. The last thing I thought of about reasons for holiday stress and sadness this year are feeling the lack of gathering in terms of places of worship. There are a lot of places in our area that are closed to person interactions. They might be open for virtual interactions, but people continually say it doesn't feel the same as being close and kind of in the same space as others. I know that having the virtual connections has been a win because 10 years ago we wouldn't have been able to do that. Now it's nice to have that option of that virtual connection, but really having that physical connection is important. And also that physical connection in terms of worship and being in kind of your spiritual sanctuary. All the reasons that I just listed are really good reasons for sadness and loneliness. And I just want to honor for you that if you're feeling that way, it makes sense given what's going on. It's something that I like to talk about with my clients is putting in context that sadness and that loneliness and fitting it into the context about what's going on in our lives. The first way I think you can start dealing with those feelings of sadness and loneliness is to start journaling about it and start journaling how that sadness and how that loneliness is coming up. It's really one of the great ways to acknowledge the feelings and really put them to paper to get them out of your body and get them in a place where it doesn't feel so overwhelming for you. One way to notice that sadness is by asking yourself, how do I feel? And then journaling about it. Like I said, it could be sadness, it could be loneliness, but it could be other things. It could be anger, it could be frustration, it could be overwhelm. And notice those feelings, and journaling about them can be super healthy way to deal with them. As I was thinking about especially the sadness and the loneliness, because that's a lot of what I hear right now, is one of the ways I like to look at that on top of using journaling is I like to use a 1 to 10 scale, where 1 means I'm not feeling this very much at all or none, to 10 mean it's extraordinarily painful for me and I have extreme sadness or extreme loneliness. 5 would be that middle point where I'm not feeling overly sad or lonely, or I'm not one way or the other. I'm kind of in the middle. When I talk about this with clients, I like to have them check in with themselves and see where they are on that 1 to 10 scale and really start noticing if you're getting those higher numbers. That 8, 9, 10 is where I say it's really at a crisis point. But I would even say if you're moving into a 7 on that sadness, loneliness scale, if you're a 7 moving into 8, 9, or 10, those higher numbers, it's really the time to start imagining, what do I need to do for myself? Because I think when you're at that 8, 9, 10 level, it's really a crisis level where things are not going well. You're feeling overly sad and overly lonely. And I think that's the time where you really have to seek some help. And one of the places I recommend people seek help is with a licensed therapist. There are really thousands of licensed, good quality therapists who can help you. You can easily find a therapist on Google, and you can just Google your city and good therapists. So LA good therapist, and then if you Google that, then they'll show a long list of therapists in your area. The nice thing is that right now with the pandemic, a lot of therapists like me have moved to virtual therapy services. And so you really, if you wanted to work with me, you could work with me if you were anywhere within the state of California, because that's where my license is, in the state of California. That gives you a larger list of people to help find a therapist that works for you. So that's my first thing for you. If you're feeling overly sad and lonely, seek out therapy, because it is the best way for you to deal with it now so it doesn't become a bigger problem. So let's say you have feelings of sadness. You're kind of in that middle point of sadness on the 1 to 10 scale, a 5, a 6, 4, 5, or 6. Let's talk about some things you can do, because there really are things that can help with sadness to deal with this time period, because I'm looking at this coronavirus time as being really different from our normal holiday time. I think next year, I hope next year, when I do a podcast about Thanksgiving and Christmas time, this holiday time period, I'll have different things to say, and there won't be this conversation about the pandemic like there is this year. But given that there's sadness over this holiday time, what could you do? One of the things, kind of the basic, is get socially active. And right now, that's tough. So we have to do it virtually. We have to do it by phone. You can do appropriate distancing, however that fits for you. You can do a Zoom call, you can do FaceTime or mail. This person-to-person connection is critical for people. What we've been doing over this pandemic often is really distancing from people, and this really is the time where you've got to have social interactions. It doesn't have to be body contact, it just has to be a connection. Connection is so important and really helps decrease those feelings of sadness and loneliness. Another thing I think of to help with sadness over this holiday time is to have reasonable expectations. Just have reasonable expectations about who you can see and what you can do with them. I would love to go to the movies. I would love to go to a concert. I would love to go to church for a Christmas service, but that's just not possible. So I know that that's what's going to happen. So I need and desire to have realistic expectations about what I really can do. I've actually found that there's been some times of light and feeling joy through this pandemic, and it's not all doom and gloom. And when I have reasonable expectations about what really can happen, that actually lightens me up, so then I can go into situations taking all the goodness out of it because it looks different than it did before. I'm going to give you my top tip. Actually, I don't know why I put it in the middle, but it's my top tip for this holiday time period. When you're feeling sad or lonely, get active. I have found that I have been sitting too much. I'm owning it since March, when we had the coronavirus outbreak and we were told to stay home. I have been sitting a lot. I've been doing all my work in front of the computer, and I have been sitting, and it has been hard on me physically and hard on me emotionally. And it was about 2 months ago, I decided to get active. I decided that I wasn't going to sit like I had been doing, and I needed to get out and get active. I have made the commitment, no matter what, is that I am active in an activity 5 times a week for 1 hour. And that might sound more than what you're able to do, but I want you to just think about, what's your big, bold move that you could do to get active, to get physical. My gym is open, and we do socially distanced gym. We're inside, we're outside. There's a lot of ways we do it, but I have found that I have to go 5 times a week, and it has been such a blessing for me. My head feels clearer, my body feels better. I just feel so much better. So my big push right now is consider how you can get active in a way that fits for you.
Hi everyone, this is Kim, and my book is out. Feed Your Soul, Nourish Your Life, a 6-step system to peace with food is live. I recommend you get it. It has all my 6 components of feeding your soul, as well as my own story. Pick it up now. You can find it on my website at feedyoursoulunlimited.com. Thanks.
Another thing that I have found has been super beneficial over this coronavirus time that I am keeping in place over the holidays to keep a routine. I find routine helps my mental health 100%. Go to bed on time, get up on time, eat food that nourishes me, be active. I talk to other people, I do fun activities, I drink water, I've been drinking a lot more herbal tea. It's been lovely. So keeping a routine has been very valuable for me to decrease the amount of stress, sadness, and loneliness that I feel. Another thing I've been doing to help with sadness over this holiday is I have been getting creative. I have been following some crafters on Facebook, and they've been doing some videos, and I am having such a fun time crafting. I use do-it-yourself items that I have here at the house, or I'm going to the dollar store to pick up things. It has been so much fun. I sit in the kitchen doing little crafts, and I love it. So I'm suggesting find a hobby, find something that you can do and do that, because we've got to find increasing ways to help out our mental health and to keep us active in a way that feels good. Lastly, I want to talk about ways to work through sadness over this holiday is to notice emotional eating. That's often what we do when we have experiences of overeating, emotional eating in the past, that eating shows up when we feel sad and lonely. I know that's showing up for a lot of people. A lot of my clients are talking about it, and I've been talking about it for myself too, because a lot of emotions, how do we handle them? We handle them with food. Some of the things I would suggest for you is to check out my blog on emotional eating. It is on my website, feedyoursoulunlimited.com. You can find all kinds of emotional eating blogs that I've written over the years. You can also look on the show notes. I have highlighted links to the blogs on my page so that you can go immediately to get some inspiration. The other thing you could do is join in my private free Facebook group, Feed Your Soul Community. I also have that link on the show notes. It's a great place to go to get some encouragement, to be in a community of like-minded people, and to feel really supported. So I would suggest you go to my blog on my website and join our Feed Your Soul community now. It's really going to help you. So these things that I'm talking about are ways to get into action to help decrease holiday sadness. I find that we can start understanding and have insight about feelings and talk about it and to write about it, but there's something really important about then doing something, being in some kind of action, be in motion in whatever way that is, whether it's being active, keeping your routine, being creative, meeting virtually with others. There's a lot of things you can do that will help lessen this sadness to help you feel more functional and actually feel more peace over this holiday. I planned to, I'm going to keep up my crafting and keep up my activity. And what we're doing this year is normally, or actually every Thanksgiving, we do a holiday run for the Hungry. And this year it's not going to happen. So we signed up for the run, and you can run anytime you want to. We're going to do it on Thanksgiving morning like we normally do, but it's not going to be with the thousands and thousands of people that we're used to being around. I feel sad that there aren't going to be all those people, but we're still going to keep up that routine and do that holiday tradition because it makes me feel good and it meets that goal of being active and being outdoors and being out in community. So that's my plan to help me keep my anxiety, my sadness, my loneliness in check. And I want to encourage you to make like a commitment to yourself for what are you going to do? How are you going to keep your sadness in check and to notice it and find something to do with it? Sadness.
Thank you for joining us on the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. We come to you every Monday with fresh new ideas to help you end emotional eating and put food in its proper place as nourishment. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast and review it and let us know what you think. Thank you for joining us.
Makes sense this time of year. And I want to encourage you that you don't have to stay stuck in it and there are things to do. I want you to know that I'm thinking of you all and that I know you can do this and I know that we'll get through this together. Life will be different as we move forward, and I encourage you to seek out other people and do something that will give you pleasure for this holiday time.